Hey, in this video I'll be reviewing the LF Bros N2 Pro new diesel heater. And yeah, you're hearing that right. There is no ticking whatsoever. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Robert with Sherburne Outdoors, and today I'm kind of excited. I don't know that you should get excited about diesel heaters, but I'm kind of excited about this one. So we've been doing a ton of diesel heater reviews recently. You know, it is diesel heater season, and I'm always talking about, you know, this is the best one that I've encountered so far. Well, you know what? This is the best one I've encountered so far. So this is the LF Brothers N2 Pro, also known as the Darth Vader, which is actually what it says on the box, Darth Vader. And it is kind of elite as far as diesel heaters go. Now, there are some that are much greater than this, like planer and stuff, but if you look at things that are on Amazon and stuff, this is the top dog, and it's expensive. It comes in at roughly $599.99, and it is packed with features. And the one main feature that separates it, I'd say, from everything else is it is quiet. You can't hear anything. If you just listen here, there is no noise. There is no pumping noise. On every other diesel heater that I've done over the last 3 years, there's always a ticking noise. Some of them are louder than others. Some of them are pretty quiet. If we take a look here at some of these I've done in the past, there's always a noise. If we listen to this guy, there's no noise. There's no noise at all. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. And you got to pay a little premium to get it. So in my mind, it's completely worth it. But they've done some other things too, as far as all the features that go along with this. And I would call this the ultra quiet. Now, if we just look at this in general, it has kind of the same form factor as some other ones, like the Whip Pro that I did recently. But it's different. It is completely different than anything that I have done from the H-Calorie, the Whip Pros, the Vavors, all of them. It's just different in how it's set up. So in addition to being ultra quiet, it's got a 5-liter fuel tank inside of it. It is a 5 kW unit. Some of them talk about how they're 8K, 5K. This is 5K. It is a Chinese diesel heater. It just seems to be the best one that I've ever had before. And again, this is the LF Bros N2 Pro. Again, it's got a 0 sound fuel pump. It's got a super quiet muffler. Now this looks similar to other mufflers, but it's not that you get from these. This one's upgraded. It doesn't go straight through. It has a honeycomb that goes up and down, and it has some baffling in it. And if you kind of look through it, you can't even see all the way through it. So, and it's quiet. Little different as well as far as the temperature controller goes there. It's got these connectors that we can pull in and out on the front, and this can actually go into a room. And why I say it's a little different, it does have a thermostat built into here, so you can run this up into your rooftop tent, or it can be sitting in the room, and you can actually set this to go to a temperature, and it will actually shut down once it gets there and go into a shutdown state until it needs to start back up if it gets cooler or whatever in there. I don't know how well that'll work in a rooftop tent, because there's, you know, the temperatures can fluctuate so rapidly, and shutting down and starting up actually uses a lot of watts off a power station. But we'll look into that. It's got an altitude mode as well, an automatic one, so it can sense what our altitude is and adjust the fuel layout off the motherboard that it has for that. I don't want to get too deep into that, but they have tested up to 17,000 feet, and it works just fine, and it auto sets itself up, so there's nothing you have to do. Some of the other things that are a little different is the fuel cap. They use an automotive fuel cap on here first, so it is leak proof. Instead of it being on the outside, it is on the inside, just like your car. And then when you go to click it, you can't over tighten it. It is a spill proof. It does not leak, so when you're on the trail and you're sloshing around, it's not going to leak all over the back of your truck or in your car or wherever it is. Again, it's got the 0 sound fuel pump. Don't know how they're doing this, but it is quiet. There is 0 noise. It's got a quiet muffler. It's got the leak-proof design. It's got the movable controller, which I kind of like. You can do a lot with this, whether you're using it in a rooftop tent application like I do, or you're in a workshop, you know, or your garage, however it is you're setting up. Love the idea of the temperature sensor. It's got a few other things as well. It's got a AC adapter, so you can plug it into DC or AC. In this particular case, I've got this plugged into the back. It does have some posts, but then it also comes with one of these quick connectors that you can do on the front that I've hooked to a cigarette lighter out of the box, and you can set it up like that. So it's got it's got this beautiful coating on the outside. So it is anodized aluminum, but it's got some kind of coating. It's super slick. It's 23.8 pounds. It's built well, so it's not, I don't want you to feel like it's light. So it's 23.8 before you actually put fuel in it. They've done some interesting things with this in that we do have the removable cables on the front for both power and also the display. So you can throw those into a thing. If you're putting this in your back of your truck, you can take them in, take them out. This comes with some ducts. So it's got a 3.5-inch output on it, a little different than previous diesel heaters in that it is a little bit wider and you have less chance of it backing in there and getting an over temperature if you have 90-degree bends. They do include these adapters so that you can just pop this on here and immediately go to a 90-degree bend. Put your hoses, which they do include as well. So you got your 3-inch and your 3.5-inch for your return as well as for your output. Now this is something I've always wondered. If you have a return air, which they do include one, and you can just put it on the back right here, you can actually circulate the air inside your tent. I'm not sure if I'm going to like that or not. I kind of like the fresh air stuff, but I definitely see that in other applications. But we're going to try it out. It's supposed to be down to 28 on the day after Thanksgiving. We're going to do a big test on this. These are advanced things that come along with this particular unit that's pretty impressive. The other thing is, a lot of times you'll have an intake air tube you have out. Theirs is on the bottom and it's actually hooked into the back for what comes in for the blower as well. So there's no extra things you need to do with that. It's pretty nice. It does come with manuals, and I will say they are useful. I used them, had this thing up and running in a matter of minutes. There was nothing you had to do other than prime the pump and kind of hook a few things up. A couple other things that are interesting with it. It does come with a Japanese glow plug, a little advanced for starting up. It again has the thermostat built into the display as well as plateau mode up to 17,000 feet. It's got some timer functions. You can actually say start this thing on this particular time. And then I love that they included a bag to hold all of this stuff, so when you're out traveling, you have the unit itself and you have the bag with all the accessories in it. And it's a nice bag too. It's very nice to hold everything. So very impressive on that. And then it does have these beautiful integrated handles, and they are sturdy. A couple things it doesn't have: no app. No mobile app at all. It's not something that's listed coming in the future, just not there. And the other thing, everything's in Celsius, so there's no Fahrenheit mode. So that's kind of a downer as we look. Let's look around this and I'll show you what it's all about. So if we just look at it, God, it's beautiful, isn't it? They call it the Darth Vader. So again, this is the LF Bros N2 Pro all-in-one diesel heater. So it's all in one package. If we look on the front, we do have these openings. This is for the power supply, and this one is for the display. And these good connectors. We've got a window here that shows our fuel, where we're at right now, and we are at 5 liters. This is and it's actually branded too, so I think maybe they're making their own parts, but this is the 3.5-inch output, and this is the connector that goes onto it, and it clicks right in, nice and tight. So you can just turn it and it comes right off. So this is a great adder. It does come with all the clamps and everything if you want to hook the hoses onto these. Sticking around with the front, it does have a Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion because it doesn't have Fahrenheit capability. Again, we got the LF Bros lettering there and kind of the Darth Vader mode. Love this gas cap. Can't over tighten. And if we open it up and look inside, you can see we are full of diesel, but it's an interior screw. So it doesn't go on the outside. It actually, the threads are on the inside. You've got this great gasket here, and you can crank this down so that it has 0 leak capabilities. It's awesome. Got the very sturdy handles. There are screws on the outside, so if you need to service this, it came well, and I do mean well packaged when I got it. It came in that box right there. The only thing that was on here is this must have came from the factory. There is a scratch right here. So it did come out of the box like that, but it's no big deal. This thing's going to get some abuse to it. But continuing to look around the unit itself, we do have the exhaust, right here, and this is where we do hook the muffler directly into that. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to probably get a lot of comments that the exhaust hose needs to go here and the muffler needs to go at the end. All of their documentation has this muffler going right here, and this muffler's quiet. Continuing around, we've got the intake as well as the clean air intake for the unit itself, and then we got the poles on the back for 12 volts. I don't know why they have them on the front and the back. Right now I do have this hooked into the 120. We'll do our first test on the 120, and then we'll switch over to the one where I hooked up a cigarette lighter to this particular intake. We got some vents on here. We've got a few other things. We've got a remote. We got the bag. We have our hoses. And then we have additional ones of these if we want to use it for the ones on the back right here. But this is really it. So as you can see, this is an extremely well-built unit. It is what I would call next level as far as everything else that we've looked at in the past. So what I want to do now is do the same test that we do with all of these, in addition to going out camping with it. Fire it up and do a test on low. How long with 5 liters will this go on low? I am guessing like 30 hours. Then we'll do a test on high. How long will it go on high? I'm guessing, let's just call it 10 to 12 hours. But let's go ahead and fire this thing up. One thing I do want to note, when you first fired up diesel heaters, I usually do let them run for a couple hours, burn some things off. You may see some smoke coming from the different parts on the outside, especially as like ones of these and other ones as things burn off. I will tell you, I had zero smoke from this thing burn off. There was nothing. It just fired up and just went on its merry way. Make sure you do prime these when you start. But let's go ahead and get this started up. All right, we got everything set up. Going back to this thing being ultra quiet and you can't hear anything. Let me just pull the microphone down here. You can see it's working well. I am right next to the unit and there's no noise. There might be a humming noise from the blower, but there's no clicking. You can't hear the fuel pump at all. I don't know what they've done, but it is quiet. There's nothing. As far as any diesel heater that I've gotten from any of the other manufacturers off of Amazon, nothing. Obviously this is at the upper price point, around 600 bucks, but it is so quiet. And the reason I have this on low for that is that's usually where you'll hear the clicking. When you get it up to high, you don't hear the clicking as much. On older diesel heaters you might, but this one you don't. The other thing is the muffler. It is really quiet. Check this out. This is without the muffler on. This is putting the muffler on. Man, that makes a huge difference. So hey, I do have this other one that I've used in other videos, which is a muffler I bought for about 20 bucks off of Amazon. And I will tell you, it roughly does about the same thing as this one that comes with the LF Bros. If I put this one, here it is without it, and here it is with it. Crazy how much quieter this gets. It's just amazing to me. Let's go ahead and start our two main tests that we're going to do out of the box here. Let's start on low. I'll check back in a bit, maybe tonight, and we'll do some temperature readings, see where we're at. We are about 9 hours in on our first test on low, and we're at about 3, maybe a little over 3.5 liters left. If we take some quick temperature readings, it is about 280 degrees, 85 degrees inside of it. So far, so good. Let's see if we can get to 25 or 30 hours. We are at 20 hours and 8 minutes, and if we check out where we're at here, we're right above 1.5 liters on their gauge. Whew, I thought we might go 30 hours. I don't know, it's seeming a little unlikely at this point in time. Maybe 25, 28 hours. But one thing I would do want you to notice is it is still super quiet. All right, that went a lot longer than I thought it would be. We ended up at 31 hours and 48 minutes. I kind of thought we were going to be in the 25 range. It's kind of powering down right now. It's kind of going through, but it's shut down. I had no idea we'd even get past 30 hours. A little bit surprised. So, going to reset everything, see how long this will go on high. I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe 12 hours. Maybe it'll go a little longer than that. Let's get everything set up and get it going. Then we'll come out and do some temperature readings when it's full blast. I think it's going to be extremely hot coming out of there. Again, It was super, super quiet. All right, we are starting our test number 2 where we're on high and seeing how long it'll go. One thing I wanted to do is we did hook it up to the power station with the cigarette lighter, and I've been pulling anywhere from, you know, we're in the 120s here. It's gotten all the way up to 130 watts, which I guess is about 13 amps, but even though this is a 10 amp plug, it seems to pull just fine. And this guy's starting to kick off, going here. And if we look here, we are at the full 5 kilowatt all the way at the top, and it is ramping up. Still no ticking. Well, you know, I don't think I was expecting that to happen. I had this guy code out on me and moved to an error 3, I guess, when it went overcompensated. And so I went ahead and plugged in the AC into this, and I will say it is pulling quite a bit here. We're at 250 watts as the glow plug is heating up and it's kind of doing its thing. It's going into its startup cycle. That's a little crazy. Let's see if it stays there or not. All right, that was crazy. This thing shot up to like 275 watts when it was doing the Japanese glow plug. Right now it's stabilized around anywhere from 55 to 60. And you can hear this thing is going strong. Still no ticking. It's using a lot more power than I had anticipated. Again, we had to move back to the AC because our DC, it went over the 10 amp. It went way above 130 and arrowed out on me, so we had to move back to the AC. All right, so we are back, and it was still pulling around 60 watts. And you can really hear the blower. It's going. Can't hear any ticking, but you can hear the blower really well. All right, let's do a couple readings here. If we take a reading in the center, we're running about 400 degrees. That is crazy. So this thing puts out some serious heat on high. I can't even imagine. We take a look at the about 125 in the muffler. What's the side of the unit say? That side of the unit's about 100, 115. This thing actually takes, it uses quite a bit of watts out of the power station. A little bit surprised. With all that said, I would never run this thing on high at a campsite. Just it would blow me out of my tent. But this is good to know. Let's see how long this thing will last. All right, you know, that was a successful test. It ended up at 11 hours and 51 minutes on high. Not as, I think I was trying to get 12, but I'll take that. I would never run it on high that long anyway, just based on my application. Now, if I'm in a shed or a bigger space, I can see that being useful. A couple things happened along the way. I figured out that I just could not make it with my Blue Eddy AC180. Just the power draw was too much to run the DC 12 volt directly in the cigarette lighter. I ended up having to plug it in, and when I did plug it in, I will tell you, I was a little bit shocked. Power draw, on startup, we were spiking at 275. When it was stabilized, it was around 55 to 65 that it was pulling off at high. And it was in the 25 to 30-ish on low that is pulling using the AC adapter here. So that does pull a little bit more. It's no big deal. I got plenty of power. I just need to make sure that I am ready for that. As great as this thing is, and I mean, it has a lot of features that I really like. Love this leak-proof automotive grade gas cap. Love the bigger heat outlet on the front. Love the integrated intake as well as the blower intake, them coming in together on the back. This thing is well made, very well made. Love the Japanese glow plug. I think that's what's taking the amount of power. Even though it's a higher end brand, it is anodized, aluminized body. Love this bag. This is kind of well thought, just well thought out. How it comes with the ducts already, everything in. The manuals were easy to use. Just the whole thing. These air duct with the 90-degree elbows. Just everything thought out. Some things that I don't think are going to work for me is having the temperature sensor, because it takes so much power to do the startup. The way their temperature sensor works, I played with it. Once it gets to set point, it actually shuts down the unit. And then if it hits, gets below that, it'll start the unit back up. But it has to go through a shutdown and startup sequence. And they take a lot of power if you're going off a battery out in the field, so you have to think about that. I'll probably just leave it on low. Going out camping with it this weekend, it's going to be about 23 degrees. So if you ever dealt with me before, there's three main things that I love that I test a diesel heater by. One, is it easy to use? This was easy to use. Is it quiet? This was super quiet. And is it fuel efficient? And it totally is. We got over 30 hours on low, and we got almost 12 hours on high. But it does have some cons. So one of the main cons is the price tag. It's expensive. It's $600 or $599.99 on Amazon. You know, that's at the upper high end, I guess, for Amazon diesel heaters. There's some more expensive ones out there, but you get a lot with that because it is super quiet. The thermostat mode that I just mentioned, you know, it just didn't work for me as for what we're going to do there. There's no app. I don't know if that's a con or not, but there's just no app. It only works in Celsius, so there's no Fahrenheit options. I do like the Fahrenheit options. We've seen some of the previous tests on some other units we had in there. The AC adapter only for me. Now that's just a me thing. I just need a better power station, I guess, that can handle maybe a 30 amp on the DC input for the cigarette lighter. And then, you know, it did have longer startup times. I've seen, you know, in some other diesel heaters, it's a little bit shorter. Felt like I was running about between 5 and 8 minutes on startup and shutdown. So it did take a little bit of time. But other than that, I will tell you, I am very impressed with this. This is just so well made. It's so quiet, so efficient, and so easy to use. Would I buy this with my own money? I am such a stickler for things being quiet, and the ticking noises on these, even if they're light, they drive me insane. And there's only one other heater that I've done recently that actually had the ticking noise so low that it didn't bother me. But this has no ticking noise. So yeah, I totally would pay this $600. I think it's well worth it. But I think this is a long-term diesel heater if you're looking, not just for the year. I think you're looking for several years. So if you're looking for quality, longevity, this is definitely what you're looking for. Again, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much for watching. If you got any value out of this, please click that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe and click that bell to be notified when we got new content out. Again, I am Robert Sherburne from Sherburne Outdoors. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for your time.